What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the NBA Hardwood Show. Joined by my two boys and two big winners yesterday, AP and DC. I had a nice night myself, too. I saw members have a very nice night, but AP and DC took the cake. I saw AP, nice screenshot on Twitter. DC dropped his in Discord early this morning. I'll throw it right over to you boys first. DC, I'll go to you. Talk about last night a little bit. Big win over there. I know you didn't join the right tournaments of the same volume as you usually play, you say, which feels like it always happens that way, but still never will complain about the win. Talk about yesterday a little bit.
Yeah. I don't want to be the guy complaining, on a big night or, that they should have played higher, but like I have played like the 333 or the equivalent. Sometimes it's 555 pretty much every night this season when I've played NBA other than the weekends. And it was full when I signed up. So it was in some smaller contests, had like $50 to $70 of entries, and was very, very close to like the absolute nuts, which, a lot of RPS members were. If you watched the show yesterday, my two calls, number one was DeJounte Murray. I was calling for two triple doubles, DeJounte Murray and Draymond Green. Murray got there easily, and Draymond Green finished just a rebound and a couple assists short, I think. But awesome night. And I try not to look at the contest until it's, kind of clear that all your players are going off, you're having a good night. So I log in there to look to see how I'm doing, and I'm like first in all these single entry stuff. And I'm in like seventh in the Big 15, chasing down or trying to chase down number one. I ended up tying for third, I believe. And Big T obviously is up there, number one, when I look in, he's got like 370 points. So he ended up getting past. I think he got like seventh or something like that. But an awesome night, turned small buy-ins into 16K in profit. So can't argue with that. And we'll look to run it back tonight for sure.
Yeah, definitely will never complain about 16K for sure. I saw a lot of members. We'll get to a screenshot later, but I saw you in like fourth or something, and a member up top. Big T's core absolutely smashed, as Cesar Martinez said in chat. Big T's core print yesterday. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Zachary, Gatekeeper, Richie Smalls, Joe, Marcus. Thanks for hanging out on this Wednesday. Nice 10-game slate we have for us. But before we get into it, our boy AP, the heat map's been on absolute fire to start the year, AP. Another big win for you yesterday, and you were really close to first place in the top as well. So talk about yesterday. Big win for you over there. And then any overview on this slate so far? Nice 10 gamers, some news. So little brief overview from you.
Yeah, I mean, we got a nice start to NBA going. I think like one thing we do good that other people might not is we don't overthink it. Like we jam in the best plays. I love the days when we get news. Yesterday, I like one other thing I did was I put a bunch of entries into that $15 MME because I'm just like, I'm just going to jam in. I'm going to jam in that whole game and just get way overweight because I know there's going to be random people in that contest that have no clue what's going on. So there's little ways like that where you can get an edge, and I feel like we do a good job at that, just like trying to guide people towards the best plays. It doesn't always work out, and early on in Discord we're always fighting these people that start tilting in the first half, and it's like, guys, let the game play out, let it play out. Like I was high on Kemba Walker, and if you're in Discord, I was fighting off everyone. It was Kemba sucks, Kemba should retire, this and that. And I'm like, guys, they traded for him for a reason. Like, it's a great matchup against Tyrese Maxey, and he's going to be unowned. And he was 2% owned. He had a three ball go in and out down the stretch, and then he missed another one too. So he had that 40-plus game in him, just missed out. But we had people after the first quarter like, never again. I'm never playing him again. I'm telling you, that is why there's an edge to NBA DFS. You got these guys, like if a player sucks one game, they're just like, I'm never playing that guy again. He sucks. Like, get that out of your mindset and like just try to understand the dynamics of a team, try to understand the matchup, try to understand the rotations and the minutes. And if you do those things, and if you don't tilt, and if you have a positive outlook on the game, you're going to be successful, more successful than the people that are being negative. So rant over on that, but no, we got to keep it going. I feel very good about this slate tonight. I think it's a really nice one. I like the size of it too, because like people are, I mean, obviously we got LeBron out again. It's going to create some really nice spots. But still, I've already kind of played around with some of the projections out there. I've seen what some of the builds look like. These guys are not going to be, these best plays are not going to be as high owned as they should be. So if you're out there getting cute, don't, I don't think you need to. So, but yeah, it looks like a really good slate. I'm excited to dive into it with you guys.
Especially if you're playing like the massive fields, like the $15 on DraftKings or whatever it is tonight with 100K up top. You'll see the best plays in that tournament often be 30 to 40% owned typically on a 10-game slate. You don't get much higher than that. Listen, you go up to the 333, the 555, the 1K, where Big T and Hoop are hanging out. Like, those guys will be the best plays in those tournaments will be like 70% sometimes, 80% sometimes. And listen, when you get that high, maybe you make the case for fading them. If you're playing the 15, just play Russell Westbrook, right? Just take the 35% owned 60 burger and move on and try to figure out the other spots.
I think you guys both made really good points that are important for DFS. AP talking about, like, you see people in Discord all the time, like, I'm never playing this guy again. He's on my do not roster for the year and all that stuff. Like, that's the worst thing you can do in DFS. I mean, if you've played any sports in your whole life, like, you have off days, especially basketball. Like, you miss shots some days. You don't feel right some days. A matchup's tougher, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't just cross someone off after one bad day. I think that's very bad strategy. And DC, I mean, based on your contest selection and what tournaments you're in, you have to change your mindset in DFS. Like you said, if you're in the Thunderdome or you're in the $1,000 single entry or that stuff with Big T and all them, Russell Westbrook yesterday is going to be 75% owned. AD is going to be 70% owned. Like, they know the best plays. They can adjust to news fast. Whereas you're in this $15, the big one, or the $3.20 entry max that's really big and stuff. People aren't adjusting the news like AP said. They come in way lower than usual. So you can get overweight on those contests, get a little different at some other places. In the big tournaments, maybe you do fade at 80% Russell Westbrook based on game theory, eat a little chalk in the value, or just do something that way. So I think those are two very good points and very important for DFS and GPPs. And you can help make those decisions where, look at the cash chart. Mangone, Hoop, myself are on it. We tag our core plays who are going to be chalky every single time pretty much, who we think are building blocks in cash. And like yesterday, the news adjusted. I tagged Anthony Davis on the core plays for DraftKings. And then you know he's going to be chalky after that. You can decide, do you want to eat it? Do you want to go play some more of the value plays? Do you want to go like a really low-owned Rondo off a pivot from Monk? Just different things like that, just knowing the chalk.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, this is something that I've had to adjust in my own play over the last year. I mean, I started back in DFS way back in the day, had a ton of success, and I would just kind of play, whatever my kind of top line. I mean, this was before really even projections or optimizers or any of that stuff. And I just play my top lineup, put it in all the contests, let it roll. But like, there's better ways to do it, right? We're talking about the ownership differences in different contests. Just giving you an example. Let's say you're playing 10 lineups in the $15 tournament tonight, and then one lineup in like $100 single entry with 300 entrants, right? Maybe you play Russell Westbrook on all 10 of your large field tournaments and fade him, right? In your $100 single entry. That way, right? And so you have 100% when he's 35% owned, and you have 0% on the one tournament where he's 70% owned, right? And so either way, you kind of hedge your bets a little bit, but you do it smartly, where you get the edge in where he's lower owned, and maybe possibly an edge where where he's higher owned and you don't have him too, and you can kind of try to get to the top that way. So again, a lesson that I've learned myself, you got to put some thought into which lineups you put into which contests.
Yeah, no, this is very good talk. I mean, a lot of people are liking to talk. Hoop said great combo, guys. Someone said, Daryl, that's why it's called DFS Daily. Just move on, guys. No, this is the big part. Instead of we're going to get to the plays and give you certain plays for the slate, but a broad overview in DFS and certain game theory topics and certain tournaments and roster construction is the big thing in DFS. Like, it goes every single day. You can apply
move on,
it,
guys.
Yeah,
come on, Daryl.
Come on, Daryl. This is literally.
I go get some drinks and just hang out and just and just chat, shoot the shit.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Daryl, you're better than that. And then one last question we'll get to. Derek, he's always in here. He said, would you rather pivot off a chalky stud or chalky cheap value? That's all slate dependent. Like today, just say Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis like are going to be chalky. If Anthony Davis is out, Russ is going to be very chalky and stuff. But like you have Giannis on the slate, you have Cat on the slate, you have a lot of other studs on the slate. If there weren't other studs on the slate and it was pretty much just Russell Westbrook by himself up top, I'd be more likely inclined to pivot off the cheap chalk and just eat Russ since his raw points, no one could really match it on the slate. Whereas today, value, there's definitely some good value, but Malik Monk stands out as really good value for cheap. Like, I think he's very strong. I personally would rather pivot off of like higher price or higher tier chalk than a Malik Monk personally today. That's just me personally right now, though. But you have to look at the whole slate. There's no right or wrong answer to that question. But we'll get right in. We'll get into it. Daryl, if you're still here, we're going to get into plays. But first, we have a new promo code, RPS Heater 25. Gets you 25% off your first monthly subscription. So it's RPS Heater 25, a new one. 25% off your first monthly subscription. Gets you the core plays, the playbook, the cash chart, AP's heat map, Discord, which is my favorite part. Gets you all the content. World Series is on tonight, so it gets you that showdown. MMA, NASCAR, golf, you name it, gets you all that sports. So RPS Heater 25. And then getting into the members never win segment, we touched on a little bit earlier, but some big wins. Start in NBA. Bramantha won $7,000 in NBA. Congrats to you. Our Fusuko boy, I probably did not pronounce that right at all, but he won $10,000. I don't know how to pronounce that. Fusuko boy. Anyway, doesn't matter how you pronounce it. $10,000 sitting up top. 403 yesterday. What a score that was. Draft Cheat sitting there right in third as you see him down there, 396. So some RPS members up top. Congrats to you. What a score. And then, hey, golf absolutely has been crushing. John Galt won $7,500. And then a big boy score, Birdie Monster, $100,000 in PGA. Congrats to you. Golf absolutely has been crushing it. A lot of great coordinators are on the golf content. So a lot of big scores, multiple sports, RPS Heater 25% off your first monthly subscription. All right, we're going to get into chats. It's FSU Cowboy. Oh, thank you. Yes. Now that I'm reading it, Florida State University.
Oh,
Cowboy.
Man.
But it's Cowboy with the
more sense.
It's Cowboy with the K. Yes. Thank you, Chad. Chad is absolutely, now it's all catching up. Yes. Okay. Cowboy with the K, FSU Cowboy. I typed it in. I was trying to read it. I had no clue. My brain didn't register. Chat, that's what you're there for. Definitely can give me a hard time on that one, but we'll get into the games. That's enough talking. Great slate, 10-game slate. Like we said, get right into the first game, the Hornets and the Magic. The Hornets are 5.5 point favorites. We have a 220 over under. I'll go right over to you, AP. Talk about this game. Talk about LaMelo a little bit. Cole Anthony has absolutely been on fire. His rebounding has been out of this world the past two games. So you're going to go back to him. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, the most notable thing that we've seen with the Hornets with LaMelo is a big uptick in their pace, which is really nice. We also have two key players out. PJ Washington confirmed out, Terry Rozier doubtful. So I'm working under the assumption that he's going to be out. We've seen LaMelo have a nice, like a slight uptick in kind of his offensive usage with Rozier out, but it's still his offense to run. The only problem I've seen at times with LaMelo is he gets into foul trouble and he makes some dumb decisions and they're not afraid to pull him. And they've been so good to where like they can sit him on the bench. And so we haven't seen like big minutes from him, but he's got a really nice matchup against a really short Cole Anthony. Like LaMelo, the thing is like he's going to be able to see the court when he's running down in transition. Like there's going to be no hands in his face. So he's going to be able to pull up, hit the three ball or be able to distribute the ball. And so I think, and he's going to be very low owned tonight. Just when you look at kind of the texture of the slate, Russ at 9.3, like you got Fred VanVleet just below him. A lot of these guys are popping. And so when I ran a few builds, he's nowhere to be found. So I do feel like he's going to be very low owned. I do feel like he could put up a really big number tonight. And he's like my only interest in this game. I don't have it. Like, I'm not chasing Cole Anthony. Like if Cole Anthony beats me, he beats me. Kelly Oubre, I've set his projection to where I think it probably hits. The majority of the time, it's not hitting my build, so I'm not gonna play him. I don't really want to use up a lot of roster spots this early. Like, I think there's so much to be gained later on in the slate. So for me, it right now it's LaMelo or move on.
Talking on mute. What a rookie. This is the first game that locks, and we have news that like we might not get the Anthony Davis news that's questionable, which is the biggest news on the slate. So this isn't a game I definitely don't think you need to get overboard on. And I do want to apologize to Daryl. He said, I didn't mean you guys. I meant everyone else, saying just move on from that day. It's DFS. So Daryl, I apologize. I took it the wrong way. No hard feelings, obviously. Chat's still riding me for the FSU Cowboys, as you should, but I'll go over to you, DC. LaMelo Ball, you've been over him a lot in the first week. He's had his games for sure. His usage is there. No Rozier, like AP mentioned. Talk about LaMelo. Are you going to go overboard on this game? Because it's going to be low owned. Are you going to more wait for the news and backstack or backload later?
Yeah, but poor Cole Anthony. Like I feel like Big T was like tweeting that he's like the shortest man on the planet. I just looked it up. The dude's 6'2". Let's stop hating on Cole Anthony.
He's taller than me.
Wow, 16 rebounds.
Short relative to LaMelo Ball.
16.
That might be a 6 foot that they rounded up a little bit too, but still, that's taller than I thought.
Well, he's an awfully good
short out there.
Awfully good rebounder for a short guy. Then 16 rebounds.
Very true.
Against the Knicks. I don't know what's up with the rebounds. I don't know if either of you have any insight on that. I'll be honest, I haven't watched that much Magic basketball yet this year.
He's just crashing the glass, really. Like he looks invested to try and get him.
They're like playing like two centers, so maybe those centers are like boxing out. Maybe they're doing the Russell Westbrook thing. You clear out the big men, and Cole Anthony swoops in there for the rebound and pushes it up the court. I don't know. I'm going to cite some, NBA tracking stats, next-gen stats. Talked a lot about them yesterday. They helped us have a huge day. Cole Anthony's way up there in things like potential assists, passes made, passes received, time with the ball, drives to the hoop. And then you throw in the rebounding, which I'll be honest, I have no idea if 16 rebounds and 9 rebounds in back-to-back games is a thing or a complete fluke, but man, it's hard to get 16 rebounds in a game without the team like kind of trying to let you, trying to kind of funnel the rebounds your way. So I'm not sure on the rebounds, but I do like what I've seen from him. It's just you gotta nail point guard tonight, right? There are so many good plays at point guard on the upper end, down through LaMelo Ball, Cole Anthony. I'm not going to have as much LaMelo Ball here. I think he's a totally fair play. There's other guys I prefer, especially spending up. I mean, Westbrook seems like a kind of a lock to me, and we'll get to some other guys that I want to spend up on too. And Cole Anthony, I think, is a sneaky play. I don't think people are going to be on him at home here, a fast-paced Charlotte team. I actually think Anthony's got a good shot at 40-plus fantasy points. Again, if the rebounds hold, if you told me he was going to get 7+ rebounds, I'm not really buying that yet, but I would play him for sure. So I do like Anthony a little bit at 6,100, but I just am a little bit hesitant to lock players in from this game. A 10-game slate. This is the only one that locks at that 7 Eastern time slot. And there's some news that we're waiting on, but there also will probably be news that we don't anticipate at all that could open up value plays later, and point guard is absolutely loaded. So I'm looking at the 2 point guards here, LaMelo Ball, Cole Anthony. Not a ton else for me. I think both guys are good plays, but Anthony's the one that I think has a shot at 40+ fantasy points at I think very low ownership. Because LaMelo and Charlotte, they play fast and loose, right? Like they'll get up and down a little bit. So I think Anthony has a shot here, but I don't want to go crazy with this game.
Yeah, the Lakers start an hour later. We're not guaranteed to have this Anthony Davis news, which is going to change the whole slate for sure. So it's going to be low owned. I don't mind if you want to take a piece out of this game, but it's definitely one I'm not going overboard on. K. Falik said to you, DC, move your mic a little closer. Then someone else after said they could hear you just fine. So I don't know which one it is, but I had to pass on the news from K. Falik.
K. Falik's his kids are probably screaming in the background. He can't hear me, so I'll move it closer for him.
It had to say it for K. Falik, but yeah, I could hear you. Other people could hear you. K. Falik, he'll do it for you though. We'll go over to the next game though. The Hawks and the Pelicans. The Hawks are 5-point favorites. We have a 219 over under. I'll go back to you, right back to you, DC. Another game that I'm not going to go overboard on. Like, I don't mind Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who has all the usage. Joval on FanDuel has been very, very good. On DraftKings too, he should be pretty low owned, so I don't mind that. Brandon Ingram has been getting a lot of shots up, so I don't mind one piece from the Pelicans team. I think somebody's going to get there. I just don't necessarily know who. What are your thoughts on this game? Anybody from Atlanta that I didn't mention?
For Atlanta, it's just Trae Young for me. He's another guy that's, I think, is kind of a, I mean, everybody knows how good Trae Young is for fantasy, but kind of a sleeping giant. I think bigger games are coming in the near future for him. So he's a guy that I like at 9K. I do prefer him over LaMelo Ball straight up. I mean, point per dollar wise, he's a little bit more expensive. I think Trae Young has a big game here. My Timberwolves just played the Pelicans 2 games in a row. So I did watch both those games closely, got a good feel for what New Orleans is trying to do. And, their main guys, like everything's going through those guys. So Alexander Walker, Graham, Ingram, and then Valanciunas too, I think is an interesting play. I mean, we've seen him in the past, just the minutes haven't been there necessarily, right? Like the per minute production's always been very, very good for Valanciunas. But now, I mean, look at the last 4 games, starting with their first game of the season, 30 minutes in that game, and then 33, 36, 39 minutes, 23 rebounds and 17 rebounds in those 2 games against the Wolves. I mean, I think he's got pretty tremendous upside and low ownership at 8,200. They're going to need him out there, right? Atlanta plays pretty big. Collins and Clint Capella sharing the court a decent amount of the time. So, yeah, I like the Pelicans side a little bit. I just don't know. They're kind of expensive, right? On DraftKings, you've got Valanciunas 8,200, Ingram's 8,500, Alexander Walker all the way up to 6,900 now. So no discounts for these guys, and it's hard to know which one. I don't really want to play multiple of them, and it's kind of hard to pick out which one I want to go with. But if you can find discounts on them, FanDuel, as you mentioned with Valanciunas, I think makes some sense. But yeah, Trae Young, the main guy I'm looking at here. I'm expecting a big game out of him tonight in New Orleans.
I like that call for sure. Should be around 5% too, 9K price tag. Yeah. AP, any Trae Young interest in you? Are you going to one-off anybody on the Pelicans? Their prices are elevated, like DC said. Ingram's finally up. Joval's up on DraftKings. So what is your approach on this game?
Yeah, I mean, not really. We have so many different injury situations later on in the slate where I don't, I mean, the Hawks are like a healthy team. They're really good offensively. They're one of the most efficient teams offensively in the league. The Pelicans are not one of the most efficient offensive teams in the league. They're bad defensively, and I personally think that the Pels with Devontae Graham in there want to run at a slower pace, and so and the Hawks haven't even been playing at that big of a pace. So I am off this game. I plugged in all my, like, Clint Capella feels cheap at 6'5". I just, I don't see him having like a crazy big game against Joval here. And Joval, I do feel, I mean, this is a tougher matchup. Cat's not the easiest matchup either. Like he's historically been decent against bigs, and Joval got it done. So like, if you want a lower own, like there's so many center plays on the slate tonight. Like I don't have Joval as a fade. I think if you got a read on this game and you like him in tournaments, I have him as a tournament play. So I didn't want someone fading him if they got a good read and they kind of like him here, because I do think he's going to need to have a big game for the Pelicans to stay close. I think the Hawks get it done here. I think I don't know. I'm off of it.
Yeah,
keep it nice and simple.
Yeah, it's a 10-game slate, so fading game, you have to fade some games to make stands. So I don't think it's not going to be very owned anyway. I think that's definitely a good point. I'll go right back to you in the next game, though. One game I do have interest in multiple pieces. That's the Indiana Pacers and the Raptors. Very close spread. The Raptors are favored by 1. 215.5 over under. So nothing too big, but these Toronto pieces are very affordable on DraftKings. Precious Achua's 4.9, Gary Trent's 4.8, Van Vliet 7.8, Scotty Barnes is 6K, OG 6.5. Like all those prices are pretty interesting to me. Talk about Toronto and pieces that you like there. And are you going to run it back with anybody on the are you on Indiana, or are you just going to be fine playing Toronto since it's not like football? You don't need a run back in NBA.
I mean, this total honestly feels a little light, like 215.5. If it's still there, I lean the over for sure. We know Indiana likes to play with pace, but under Rick Carlisle, like I am worried that we're going to see that pace pulled back a little bit. Like I don't think it's going to be as fast as they were running, like what we saw last year and the year before. The other thing too that he's trying to make a change is to improve their defense. Their defense has been a disaster, so they're not there yet. Which does have me interested in some of these Raptors pieces. Fred VanVleet coming off a monster game. It was a really weird game. Like,
yeah, it was.
Like the Bulls like just could have put them away and never did, and they just like dangled the carrot there and allowed them to come back. And so we saw OG, we saw Fred VanVleet have monster games. But despite all of that, we know Big smashed the Pacers. Precious is really interesting at 4.9. OG is interesting at 6.5. I do think a lot of these pieces are in play. Just looking at kind of, so like if I pull up my heat map, I do, you can see it broken down by positions, and small forward is kind of weak. This is kind of weak on the slate. I could see myself if I'm not paying up for a Middleton. I could see myself playing like a Gary Trent if I need some salary relief. 4.8, he's a guy. I'm always kind of a sucker for him. I think the matchup's good. The minutes are there now, 35 and 36 the last two games. All we need him, he isn't like a peripheral guy, but man, if that shot gets going, if the pace is there, he's the guy that could get it done. But you got to like Fred VanVleet too. Kind of got the shot going. Was very efficient last game. The assists were there. I mean, he was getting it done offensively. I think he has a lot of momentum coming into this game, and I still think that people will be a little hesitant to play these guys since they were busts in their first two games. So I got a ton of interest on the Raptors side, not as much interest on the Pacers side. All of those guys like Brogdon priced up, Sabonis priced up. Like I prefer Davis. I prefer some of these other pieces in that range. So, and they might get Karis LeVert back. I don't think like he'd play heavy minutes at all. So I think the Pacers are a fade. The Raptors are fine to attack.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. As far as Gary Trent, like I played him 2 days ago, actually in cash. His price is good. And on DraftKings, you get that 3-point bonus, which is big for Gary Trent, which makes up for some of the peripherals too. And the good thing about the Raptors is they just play really heavy minutes. You know, they're going to play 30 plus, their main guys. And when you get to the mid 30s and high 30 minutes, I mean, that's what you need in DFS for mid 5K prices for most of them too. So I love the Raptors. I'm with you though on the Pacers side. Like I can't find anybody that's really appropriately priced that stands out. If you're throwing one team in the $15 trying to take it all down, like sure, you can overspend for Sabonis at 9.9 since you know his ceiling is 60 plus, which he's shown, but I like all the others. I like Giannis way more, AD, Westbrook. Like on paper, it's definitely not as good of a place. So I totally agree with you, AP. DC, Raptors, anybody you can find on the Pacers? Are you similar to us?
I mean, I've been on Brogdon really, really heavy early on. I think he's a fine play here, but Toronto playing at the fourth slowest pace in the league, pretty good defensive team. So I don't know, 8,300 for Brogdon. I mean, I expect 40 fantasy points out of him, but 8,300 in DraftKings, that's just not enough, right? Like on this slate, when we're going to get some monster scores out of point guards, I just don't think Brogdon's going to quite get there. Same thing for Sabonis. To me, Sabonis, like his best attribute, I don't know, as a DFS asset is his consistency. It's 40 plus from him every single night, but you're not often getting 65, 70 plus out of Sabonis. So 9,900, I just can't quite get there. I'm off of the Indiana Pacers tonight. The Toronto guys, they don't have anyone here that's, if I'm building out a roster, that's the first guy in the lineup, right, that I need to have. But pretty much their whole starting lineup I'm willing to play. Van Vliet, Precious, OG, Barnes. I think all those guys are fine plays, and especially the forward spots. AP mentioned it. They're a little bit thinner, right? We're looking. There's tons of centers I think we want to play, tons of point guards especially, but those small forward, power forward positions, we often see this, but I think it's especially true tonight, are a little bit tougher to fill with guys that you feel great about. So OG, Scotty Barnes, I think OG probably the guy that I'm looking at most here. Just he didn't shoot the ball well at all to start the year, but a guy that's still improving, can contribute in multiple categories. He's kind of the guy I'm looking at, but overall, I agree this total seems light, but still, it is one of the lowest totals on the night. I'm not sure I want to go heavy on this game. Two relatively healthy teams on a 10-game slate.
Fair enough. Yeah. So AP, I think, and I have a little more interest on the Raptors, but I agree. The total is lower.
I like all the Raptors. I just don't love any of them.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense for sure. I just looked at the likes. I didn't say anything about the likes yet today. I wanted to wait to see what the people were going to do, but I finally take a look. 530 watching, 132 likes.
Ooh.
That's hurtful. I don't like begging all the time and reminding every 10 minutes and 15 minutes, but hey, we can definitely do better than 130 likes, 533 watching.
Well,
just hit
the plays of the day have been on fire. If you want them, we got to get those likes up.
Hey, you heard it from DC himself. I don't like to threaten it, but DC, they've been on fire. You got to hit the like button. We're not going to put a certain number, but you hit the like, hit the subscribe right there next to it too. We do appreciate it. 10-game slate. We've been rolling. RPS logos up top. Big prize pools. Let's keep it going. The good mojo going. We'll get into the next game, the Wizards and the Celtics. The Celtics are 4-point favorites. A pretty nice total at 224.5 too. I'll go back to you, AP. Pretty good game, pretty close total. Some big names in this game. Tatum's had a really good game last game. Al Horford is now back. Robert Williams. So the Celtics are a little healthier. Kuzma on the other side is a decent price tag on FanDuel. Talk about this game in a general. You're going to stack it up, piece or two, or just fade it?
I mean, all right. So like bigs have been smashing the Wizards, and so I was really excited about this spot. But Horford's back, and Horford and Big Bob Williams there has not worked fantasy wise. Like Horford has taken so much away from him. A lot of the rebounds, even offensively. Like Robert Williams, he's not like an offensive guy, but he's so good at getting those putbacks and just slamming it in there, which would be great in this matchup. I don't trust that price tag. I don't trust Horford being it. I think they just take away from each other. The pace here should be good. We saw so the one thing that worries me is that game against the Nets went way under the total. The Wizards finally looked really sloppy offensively. Beal did not get going. He had a bad game. I don't know if that was kind of a function of Bruce Brown being in there, a really good defender to slow him down. But again, I mean, the Celtics, even though they haven't been as good defensively, when you look at this lineup top to bottom, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Horford, Robert Williams, this is a team that's going to be very good defensively. I don't know if it's like issues with transitioning to a new coach, with Brad Stevens now getting, I think he's head of like player management or some sort of operations role with the Celtics. But I know their coach really, prides himself to have good defense. We haven't seen it yet with the Celtics, so I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes off. I just have no idea. There's nothing on the Wizards side that looks good to me. Dinwiddie, too expensive. Beal, too expensive. I mean, he could have a game, but gosh, I'd much rather have Westbrook. I just think it's way safer and a much safer floor and a higher ceiling than the spot he's in. So I'm off the Wizards side here, and I think it's pretty easy to get off. Between Brown and Tatum, I pick one and go with it. Either guy could absolutely smash. I don't know which one it's going to be. I think price-wise, I think Tatum's interesting at 9-1. But again, what I'm doing is setting their projection in a range where, maybe it's slightly above where a lot of the projections are. And then I'm going elsewhere and, bumping up my other guys that I think should be bumped. And if one of them makes it into my build, then I'll roll with them. But I don't feel any obligation to jam them in, if that makes sense.
No, I think that's a very good point. I agree for sure. I think Tatum and Jaylen Brown are very strong plays that are going to get overlooked on the slate. I like their price tags. But yeah, just the nature of the slate. It's a great slate. Giannis, Westbrook, like they're going to go overlooked. My favorite Wizard, I would say, is Kyle Kuzma at 6.8. I think he has a ceiling. I think he's going to be 5%, 4%. So if I'm playing a Tatum or Jaylen Brown, maybe I'll run it back with a Kuzma or something in a low owned game. But I don't think you need to jam in any of these pieces to start. Before I get over to DC, my boy Daryl again, he said, just purchase the premium, boys. Let's go. Appreciate it, Daryl. Absolutely. Make sure you get in Discord too. Hit up Captain or Mango and follow the website to get on Discord. You don't want to miss that out. But way to join the movement. We appreciate it. We'll see you in Discord. Good decision for sure. Appreciate other people hanging out with us. My boy Cole Schuler, Richie Smalls, K. Falik Burner, Andy Hoyman, Risha, Spencer. Thank you for hanging out on this Wednesday. Hit the like and subscribe button for us, please. We appreciate it. It goes a long way. DC, same question in this game. Do you have a preference on Tatum or Brown? Or are you just going to fade both? Anybody on the Wizards? What are your thoughts?
I won't have a ton of Tatum and Brown. I think I'm going to play 4 lineups tonight on DraftKings. Probably neither of them make it in this game. And frankly, nobody from this game I anticipate playing in those 4 lineups. If I was playing 150, I would certainly have exposure to both Tatum and Brown. I think I would probably separate the two, right? You're trying to get the big game out of either one. And I don't know. I guess I'm not smart enough to predict who it's going to be on a night-to-night basis against a team like the Wizards that, kind of plays. You don't even necessarily know who's going to be guarding who on any given night. So not a ton to add for me in this game.
DC, I'm not sold that the Wizards are going to be like a really fast-paced team this year. I'm not. Dinwiddie doesn't feel like a guy that wants to push the pace. Like with Westbrook last year, completely different. We know Westbrook loves to push it in transition, and that's going to lead to more possessions per game. I'm just not sold that Dinwiddie's going to be that same type of player. He's more of a half court guy, get his offense going, kind of a see the field, and so I wouldn't be surprised if this game fell under the total.
Yeah, the same. I mean, so far, you have to take these things with a grain of salt early on in the season because it depends on who you've played, and things can change quickly. But Wizards dead middle of the pack in terms of pace. And another thing I like to look at in terms of rostering players, especially like Jaylen Brown against a team like the Wizards, is turnover percentage, and they're in the top 10 lowest turnover percentage in the league so far. So Wizards have slowed it down so far this year and have taken care of the basketball, which that's two things that you obviously want to target against. So far, the Wizards haven't been a real team to target that against, at least through these first couple games. So could change, but I'm not super excited about this game.
Yep, that definitely makes sense. So I'll go right back to you then, DC, for this next game. Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets are favored by 3.5, 217.5 over under. Harden was chalk again. He laid another stinker. Miami plays very good on the defensive end. A lot lower total than usually see from the Nets, but obviously Kyrie isn't in the situation. Harden and Kevin Durant's going to be low owned. Are you going to take a shot on them? Another fade? Anything in this game that stands out?
Yeah, not a ton here either. I mean, you want to play Harden or Durant. I prefer Durant between those two guys. He's the guy that looks a lot better to me. I have no problem with it, but 10.5K, I mean, man, there's a lot of good plays in that 8 to 10K range for me, where it's hard to get up to 10.5K. If I'm going to do it, it's probably going to be for a guy like Giannis instead of Durant, who I think has a higher ceiling. So no, I don't have a ton here. I mean, I was very, very high on Tyler Hero in that first game against Milwaukee, and subsequently in those next 2 games. He's got an awesome role as the 6th man. But he's priced up now, 6,700 and coming off the bench still. You don't know for sure if he's going to get 30 plus minutes. So yeah, unless we get news on this game, kind of looks like a fade to me. It's just 10 games. There's so many spots you want to go, and this one doesn't look like one I want to invest in too heavily.
I'm definitely with you. I like other Spenos more than the other guys. If you want to go a Bam or Jimmy Butler, I'm running 150 today on FanDuel. I set a rule to have one at most on both teams, so I don't want to game stack it. If it goes to OT, obviously it can get there, but I'm with you. It's not a game I want to target on a 10-game slate.
Even with 150, you can't cover everything, despite what the haters say.
Exactly. You still got to make stands.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a game. AP, are you on the same page with us, or do you see something we don't see?
The only guy I have interest in is actually Bruce Brown, 3.7K. I think so. I mean, one, I'm looking at that small forward, and I know I want to spend up for multiple. Like, I love Giannis, I love Westbrook. We know we have one value piece potentially, Malik Monk, that we're going to talk about. But like that small forward position, I could see like Bruce Brown. He's got a phenomenal matchup. Like Kyle Lowry, good defender, going to be on James Harden. You got Jimmy Butler, you got PJ Tucker. Who knows what they do, but you got to figure they're going to have hands in Joe Harris's face. They're going to have hands in KD's face. And they're going to be worried about those three guys. They're not going to be worried about Bruce Brown shooting the ball. So he's not a good shooter. I just think we might see him get a few more opportunities since if Duncan Robinson's on him. But 3-7, they're going to need him in this game. I see it being a defensive battle. I could see him, getting some rebounds, and I could see him getting 20 plus. So like, I'm not like going crazy or anything about him, but if he fits into one of my builds, allows me to spend up elsewhere, I could see myself playing him. Outside of that, I don't have any interest in any other pieces here.
I like it. Well, we're about to get into a game that we definitely have interest in, but 572 watching, 227 likes. We can get those up there. Every time I've been on the show, you guys have got us over 300, which is very impressive. We appreciate
300 likes. That's the number we need.
DC said it. There you go. 300 likes to get DC's like mom's Basins play of the day. And AP's got a new name too. So 300 likes easily should happen. Hit the like, hit the subscribe for us, please. And then we're getting into this game. AP, I'm going to go right back to you. It's the Lakers. It's the Thunder. There's so many pieces in this game that I can mention. 215 over under, which is low though for a game that's going to be so popular. 4.5 point spread. The Lakers are favored. AD news obviously is the biggest question on the slate. We already got LeBron news that he is out, but I mean, Malik Monk, very strong play at 3.7. Obviously Russell Westbrook at 9.3K, but even Rondo's getting about 20 minutes. He's pretty much min price at 3.1. On the other side, SGA at 7.1K. We just saw what DeJounte Murray did to this Lakers team yesterday. I think he has a very high ceiling. You can talk me into Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, Robinson Earl, who got the start yesterday at 3.7K. If AD plays at 9.7K, I definitely have some interest there, and I think he might go a little overlooked with that questionable tag. So much to talk about in this game, AP. Take it away.
I mean, I'll give OKC a little credit. We finally saw somewhat of a condensed rotation against the Warriors, which is good to see because the rotation has been an absolute disaster. I still think it's a risk with how many guys that they have. But the one thing about AD being questionable that I'm seeing, like, it isn't like a back-to-back, I don't think, a knee injury. The dude like had an alley-oop dunk right after he went down. He banged knees with someone. He's laying there on the ground crying, and then he got up and he's dunking, and he had a monster game to finish. I think he plays. I don't think it's gonna. I mean, if anything, it would be rest. But I did not see him actually get injured. I just saw him pull the same AD move that he always pulls. He got his knee bumped into by someone else, and he wasn't hurt. So I think he's fine. I think the Lakers need wins. I think I think they get a win tonight, and I agree with Vegas. 4.5, but like they're a team that, I mean, they need to win these games against the teams that they should beat. They need to win those games because they're going to have some battles down the road against these teams that are kind of average, that are up and coming, young teams like the Grit. I mean, there's a bunch of them, and so they need to win this game. I think they need AD to play. Russ, Malik Monk, AD, phenomenal plays. Carmelo, I think he was fairly popular yesterday. He hurt a ton of feelings. I love that, this is going to be a game where he's going to have free shots all night. We know he's going to get some run if he's making some shots, and we know what he's capable of. So in tournaments, if you're playing multiple lineups, I'd get a piece of him. He played 30 minutes yesterday. We just saw him put up 42 DK points against Memphis in 27 minutes. Surely he could do that, with how light-handed they are. They're going to need shooting, so they're going to need him out there. But, man, when you look at this, I don't see how you don't jam in a bunch of these guys. They need a win. There's not much scoring there. They're going to need Malik Monk in there. He looked phenomenal yesterday. I think he's one of the best value plays on the slate. I'm running a bunch of builds into that 15 on DraftKings. Malik Monk is probably going to be in every single build that I have. I think he's that good of a value. Phenomenal game. The other thing about this game is I'm kind of selling myself on the OKC side. And I've been a huge hater of OKC, but, man, I watched that game closely last night, as many of us, I think, did with the Spurs. And this Lakers team is not good defensively at all. I think Shea is going to have a big game here. I think Josh Giddey, if they give him the minutes, I think he's going to be able to have a good game here. And he's at that small forward position that we've been talking about that's not as strong. And we've seen with Giddey, he has the peripheral. So if his shot's going down, he's shown us 47-point upside. So he's a guy that could absolutely break you if they give him the minutes, if he has a big game, and if you don't have him, they could absolutely break you. I'm not as sold on the front court here. I think that's going to be the tougher piece to attack. So for me, it's Shea, it's Giddey, maybe a sprinkle of Lou Dort, but I much prefer Malik Monk, Westbrook, and AD.
Yep, definitely a very good breakdown. I see a couple questions in chat. John Gibson said, what is the projected usage for Malik Monk? I don't have that exact number, but if you take a look at yesterday, he played 38 minutes. He had a 17% usage rate, which he's had the past 3 games. He went 6 for 15 from the field, 4 for 10 from the 3-point line. And Malik Monk's always been a chucker. Like, the guy can flat out score. He knows he can score. He's on the Lakers because he's a scorer. So I think his usage will be plenty, 17 to 20 probably. He's going to shoot shots, what you want. He's 3.7K. So I don't know why his price went down after yesterday from 4.1 to 3.7, but I don't know the exact usage. It's going to be around 17 to 20 is my guess, though. AP, a question for you. Our girl D-Gaz says, how many in this game is too many? Because I think that's a very good question.
That's always our favorite question, right? How many is too many from this game?
Yeah.
Okay, here's an interesting thing. And I had a question about this yesterday. Let me pull up my build. And it really worked out pretty good. I think it was 1 second. So we had Kimba, and then I had Malik Monk, Walker, Keldon Johnson, who sucked, Poeltl, DeJounte Murray, AD, and Westbrook. So honestly, I had 7 guys in there, and my only one-off was Kimba. So it got it done. That was my best build. I think it finished at 377. If you get the right game environment, it can smash. My concern, though, is this rotation on the OKC side. I would not feel as comfortable jamming in multiple pieces. I think 2 on the OKC side and 1 lineup is good, and that's Giddey and SGA. And then I think 3 on the Lakers side, and Russ, Malik Monk, and AD.
Perfect. Definitely a good answer. Last question. Our boy Darth Anger said, what about Austin Reeves? Austin Reeves, excuse me. He played 30 minutes yesterday, but he just isn't aggressive. I don't think you need it on this slate. I see DC shaking his head a little bit too. If AD was ruled out, this question was earlier. If AD is ruled out, maybe, but all the usage is going to Monk, to Westbrook. DC, well, you take it over, talk about this whole game. I'm on the no side as well. He is 3K. I just don't think you need it on this slate since there is other value plays. But you talk about Reeves, talk about this whole game in general.
Reeves is like the white guy that looks like they grabbed him out of the crowd and put him on the court, right?
That's Reeves.
Yeah.
He definitely does. The one thing he did, he helped. He helped to create spacing, is what I saw. So that allowed Ross, AD to do their thing, and kind of cleared the lane.
I'm guessing DC, you haven't played Cooper Kupp all year as well, hey? You on that train?
No, Cooper Kupp is like a very handsome. He looks like he's an athlete. This Reeves guy, man, I'm not going to Austin Reeves. I'll leave Reeves
to Darth Anger. All right,
talk about
this whole game.
Yeah. A lot going on here. I think a lot depends on Anthony Davis. The Lakers, have played. This is their 5th game. I think that'll be the most that anybody has played so far. Look at the minutes. I talked about this before the game yesterday. You know, I was kind of surprised to see this Lakers team coming out playing these veteran guys big minutes every game. I mean, Westbrook has now played 35, 35, 37, and 40 minutes. This will be his 3rd game in 4 nights. You know, I mean, everyone's projecting 35 plus minutes for him here, myself included, but I'm a little nervous about the minutes for Westbrook on the 3rd game in 4 nights without LeBron. But back in OKC, I think he's kind of the safer one. Anthony Davis, I'm fading Anthony Davis. Whether, you know, I think there's a decent chance he sits, probably, you know, maybe more than you guys do, just because he's played so many minutes too. Again, third game in 4 nights, banged up his knee a little bit. Maybe he's fine, but it looked to me like a knee collision, which is something that, you know, you can maybe walk it off and then you sleep on it and it's sore the next day, right? You get a little kind of bone bruise in there. So we don't know. But if Anthony Davis sits, I think you kind of got to play Westbrook. The usage is going to be absolutely insane. I think Monk becomes an awesome play at that point as well. But those are the 2 guys that everybody's kind of on, right? Westbrook and Monk with LeBron out. And then maybe if Anthony Davis is out, I think the more interesting plays to me, Carmelo Anthony, I think becomes really, really interesting if Anthony Davis sits. I have no real interest if Anthony Davis plays, but I think Carmelo could potentially enter the starting lineup. If not, I think we'll see him for probably for sure 25 plus and maybe 30 plus minutes with a much bigger role, right? With no Anthony Davis out there, who does obviously a lot of stuff for the Lakers. And then if Davis sits, I think both DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard become very, very interesting plays on this slate. DeAndre Jordan, 3,200 on DraftKings. Howard is 3,500. What the Lakers have been doing, they're starting DeAndre Jordan. He plays, 6 or 7 minutes to start the game. Then oftentimes it'll be Anthony Davis who plays the 5. Then we'll see Howard to close the half, right? And so you're getting 14 minutes out of DeAndre Jordan, the starter, about the same out of Howard, and then the rest of the center minutes has been so far Anthony Davis. But if Davis is not in there, I think there's a pretty good chance we get 48 combined minutes out of DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard. I would expect that those minutes be split, pretty much down the middle would be the expectation, but there's no guarantee, right? It could be 30 and 18 in terms of the splits. Which way that goes, I have no idea. They're averaging basically the same amount of fantasy points per minute, but they're very cheap. They're both averaging a fantasy point per minute. And if Davis is out, I think you got to project them for 20 plus fantasy points with the upside of 30 plus at their price points. They become very, very strong values for me. So those are 2 guys that I'm looking at. I heard questions in Discord. Can you play them together if Davis is out? I don't think that's a horrible idea, but what you're really hoping for, right, if you're trying to get to the top of the tournament, is one of them takes 30 minutes and scores 30 plus fantasy points. So I would just separate them, right? If you're playing one lineup, play 2. Play the same lineup and play each of those guys in the same spot. If Davis is out, do something like that. So that's how I'm kind of approaching the front court there. And I don't want either of those guys, Jordan or Howard, if Davis plays. So it's all kind of intertwined. Same thing with Carmelo Anthony. And it's one of the reasons why we don't want to lock too many players in early, right? Because we want to be able to maneuver around this game. And then, we still got 4 more games to talk about.
Yeah, definitely very good points. And this is the game of the night, the news we have to wait on. And I hope we get it after lock, because people don't adjust as well after lock. And if it's out before,
I think it'll be after lock.
Yeah, I think so too, but you never know. Very good points though. If AD is out, Carmelo can play the stretch 4. He plays bigger than he good rebounder. And as far as Howard and Jordan, very good points there. Personally, I lean Dwight Howard. I would have more of him. And I think, they both become very good plays. For me, I lean Howard, but I agree with you. If you do think they split 24 and 24 or something like that, I think you can play them both together. If they split, personally, I'm probably just going to play one of them or make a rule, probably one of them. But at their price tags, they're good, double upside in 24 minutes for both of them.
I'll make one last point. If Anthony Davis is out, we already obviously know LeBron James is out. You saw it yesterday. Russell Westbrook is going to drive to the hoop time and time again. That's going to be a huge component of this Lakers offense if Anthony Davis is out. That's perfect for DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard, right? They can finish lobs from Westbrook, or even better yet, Westbrook misses the layup and they're there to clean up, on the tip back dunk. Like that's perfect. I mean, we've seen these types of centers crush when Russell Westbrook is kind of the whole offense, which is what we will see if Anthony Davis is out. So I really
I think
like those guys.
I think one thing we should do too is so you may like Russ Westbrook. I mean, he's got to play, but is he going to play 39 minutes after 3 and 4? I think Rondo's the guy that's going to get more minutes here, and his usage was phenomenal. I think he needs 20 minutes, and he's just going to smash. Like he's going to be able to get a bunch of easy buckets against this Thunder team. So I think what I'm going to do is increase his projection to 22, 20. Like just I think that's a fair number. And what's going to happen is at 3-1, I bet he hits a lot of builds, and I bet he's going to allow me to get guys like Giannis in there, which I'm sure we're going to talk about that game next.
Are you willing to play Rondo with Westbrook?
Yeah, I mean, I would. I think those guys both can smash.
Yeah, with their prices, definitely. I think it's viable. I think Rondo's a very good and you can play. I mean, that's why too many like this game is very, very good. You can stack it up, play as many. You can play a lot of different ways. So we talked about that game for a while, but that is the game of the night for sure. We'll get into the next game. Richie Smalls says, "Are we at 300 likes yet?" Not yet. We're getting really close, so I'm not going to ask for the likes the rest of the show. You guys know the number you need to get to, but we just appreciate you guys hitting the like and subscribe for us. We'll get into the next game, though. Sorry, AP, you're going to have to wait a little longer because it's my Bucks versus DC's Timberwolves.
The floor is your guys's. I'm going to sit back and, enjoy my drink over here. So
the Bucks are 6.5 point favorites. A big boy over under at 230.5. The only reason I'm really drinking on this show right now with the White Claws, first time on the show is DC was in Discord earlier, throwing a little jabs, chirping a little bit, saying the drinks are flowing. He's going to be talking. DC, I'm not even going to say anything. The floor is yours on this one.
We haven't said anything on the show. We don't even know who Tyler's looking at on this show. So that's far for the
I've chimed in. Just got to keep the show moving too. So you guys are the experts right now.
Fair enough. 6.5 points feels a little light for Milwaukee at home against the Timberwolves.
Drew's out too. Drew's out. Brooks out. So it's not a full strength Bucks team.
Fair enough. Drew, Brook Lopez out, 2 starters, and then some other key pieces for them too. So the Bucks, I mean, are going to be a team that I think we're going to want to keep targeting. Giannis, it hasn't been all roses for Giannis early on, but 260 burgers. He's improved again. He's going to be even better than he was in years past. I think this is a great matchup for him. No problem with Giannis. We've all been on. I think we're all big Anthony Edwards fans for the Timberwolves, second-year player. I had a good rookie season, but man, coming on strong this year, and I think there's even more left in the tank there for Edwards. He's been a key distributor. I think he's like 15th or 20th, something like that in the league in potential assists, despite only averaging 3.7 per game. He's got like 11.7 potential assists per game. Normally you see about half of your potential assists turn into actual assists. So he's running a little bit bad in that regard. Shooting 10 above the break threes per game. So, you got the corner threes and then above the break, obviously, is anything beyond that. That's second in the NBA behind only Steph Curry. Last 2 seasons, Title, you can chime in here. The Bucks have clearly kind of had a defense that allows those. They've been number 1 in the NBA in allowing above the break 3-point attempts in each of the last 2 seasons. So I think Edwards can fire away here. He was talking trying to motivate his teammates or whatever it was about taking the Pelicans lightly in that second game. 31, 37, 40 minutes for Edwards. I think he's going to be low owned at 7,700 with all the guys that you can kind of pay up for. That I think that 7 to 8K range might go largely overlooked. We talked about guys like Jaylen Brown, right? He's kind of priced right in that territory where I really like Edwards here. Towns, I think, has a chance to do some serious damage. I mean, Milwaukee kind of thin in the front court. They are, it looks like, going to get Bobby Portis back, who I think is an interesting play as well, right? 4,300. I think a chance he gets the start here. I mean, I don't know. Have you seen Title? I'll just throw it to you at this one because I'm looking at Bobby Portis, 4,300, a very good point per minute producer. No Brook Lopez, who really hasn't missed much time. I don't think he missed much time last year, so we didn't really see Portis kind of get to do his thing. But a little concerned. I mean, he missed the first 4 games with a hamstring injury. Is he going to be able to handle big minutes in his first game back? I don't know. So any insight on Bobby Portis there?
Yeah, so Bobby's a very interesting question on the slate because he has a good price tag at 4.3. They sent down Mamu as well, who was up with the Bucks. Now with Portis back, they sent Mamu down, so there's more minutes to go around. But I mean, Bud's never been one to push Bobby Portis as we've seen, and now his first game back, I see him right around 20 minutes. That's where I have him projected at personally, which he can get there. He's a good fantasy point per minute producer in 20 minutes. I think he can draw the start at the 5 today. But I still don't see them pushing him. I'd be shocked to see him play 25 plus minutes personally.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think Towns could do his thing. You know, I was talking before his last game where he put up 70 fantasy points. Like people were saying, oh, the 29 minutes in each of the first 2, it's going to be the limited minutes Towns thing. And I was like, look at the substitution patterns. You know, popcornmachine.net is a great resource for that. And it was just fluky. I mean, he fouled out with like 6 minutes to go in the second game. The first game was kind of a blowout where he didn't see it. And then he saw 40 minutes in regulation for the Wolves in that win or that loss rather against the Pelicans. So yeah, I think Towns is in for a very, very big season. I like the Towns, Edwards, Giannis game stack, right? Is this the highest total on the slate? I think it might be.
We got one more a little higher, but it's second, I believe.
Sure. So right up there. And you know, correct me if I'm wrong, Title, but I think Giannis could see his minutes pushed a little bit if this game stays close. I think they want to win this game. So that's an expensive stack to start with, but it'll be, I think, pretty low owned. I actually think you'll get Giannis kind of low owned too with Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis and some other guys out there. So I like this game a lot.
Yeah, Giannis played 36 minutes last game. I think if it's a close game, he's definitely going to play. I mean, if Bobby, I think he's going to play about 20. They need his size. They need him to play. They sent Mamu down. So I love this game. I agree. I love the Giannis and Towns route. Instead of, for me, I'm not going to go Anthony Edwards, which I totally get it. He's going to be low owned. He's looked very good this year. I'd rather go I like Grayson Allen's price tag a lot at 4.4K, playing about 30 minutes. I don't mind Chris Middleton. He's going to come in low owned again. There's no Drew. So 7.8K, Middleton's going to get overlooked. I think Middleton's very strong. And then Bobby Portis, 4.3K. I don't love his ceiling because I have him at 20 minutes and I think he gets some ownership. So I'm going to be underweight in my 150. But he's over a fantasy point per minute producer. They're going to need his size. So I don't mind that play. AP, it's time to come to you in this game though. 6.5 point spread. So it should be relatively close. Giannis, I think he's one of the best spend ups on the slate. Couple other, Grayson Allen. Touch on anybody in this game, and then how do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, it takes me back to the game we just talked about. If you fade Russ or AD and play a Rondo or a Malik Monk route, you got to play the studs here. Anthony Edwards, you got to play Karl Anthony Towns, you got to play Giannis, and man, that could be a really tasty path in tournaments tonight. Like DC, you may, like, you got me thinking, you made really good points. Like Russ, like if we go back a year ago, he was sitting on some back-to-backs. Like he was resting those knees.
He looked good yesterday, but yeah, it worries me a little bit.
I mean, I'm not.
He said he's feeling good. He said he's feeling good too, but you are right. You are right, AP. But it is a new.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards. I love this kid. He's already been a play of the day of mine this season, and he smashed for me. I think he's going to smash in this matchup. Without DiVincenzo in there, they haven't been as good defensively, especially against the backcourt, especially with Drew out. That's an even bigger hit to their backcourt when it comes to defense. And then if they don't play Bobby Portis 25 minutes tonight, Karl Anthony Towns, like they got no size. Karl Anthony Towns is going to just have his way with this team. I mean, unless Giannis is just, and then I could get Giannis into some foul trouble.
I don't think they're going to put Giannis on Towns. Usually, at least to start the games, they put Giannis kind of out on a camping 3-pointer guy like Jaden McDaniels, right? And let him kind of play off the ball where he doesn't have to worry too much about that guy. And I mean, you could see Towns. I mean, even against Portis,
Towns
right?
could.
Portis is a great defender himself. So
right. I mean, Towns is like, and I'm like Anthony Edwards, 2% ownership projection. Towns, he's like right around 10%. It's a 230 total game where we know, we know it's going to be.
The Wolves don't listen. D'Lo, Edwards, and Towns is a lot, right? Those guys are high usage guys. But beyond those guys, the Wolves have nobody that takes any usage at all. They've proven that they're willing to play these guys big minutes. I actually I assume D'Angelo Russell, you're talking Edwards 2%. What does that mean? Russell's below 1%. I mean, he can get hot too. He's had some foul trouble and just some weird stuff go on in his game. So, I'm a Wolves homer. I admit it. I've played more Wolves than I should over the years, but
I think you would play him tonight. Yeah, so I'll sum it up. Anthony Edwards, great play. Towns, great tournament play. I updated the heat map to account for those guys. Giannis is one of my favorite core plays. So I mean, we could get him lower owned than he should be because of everyone looking at Russ, everyone looking at AD. But this game is the game with the better pace, the game with the better, overall fantasy profile. I do not I'm bumping Giannis way up to make sure he hits my builds. I think he could go for 65 plus tonight, DK points. And then I think Anthony Edwards is the run back there. So really fun game. Going to be great for fantasy.
Title. Who's the best guy to, if I'm game stacking this one, hoping, getting overtime or something where I get Russell, Edwards, Towns, Giannis. Who's the other buck? I was looking at Connaughton. I think his minutes are secure.
Middleton and Grayson for me. Grayson Allen and Middleton.
I can't afford Middleton. I literally cannot afford.
Grayson Allen, 4.4K. I think is very strong.
Okay.
That'd be my guy. Over Pat. Yeah, his minutes are more secure. He's starting. I like what Grayson's doing.
I think you go with the bigs here, and then you go Malik Monk. You go Rajon Rondo. I think that and the bigs here. I'm gonna have a build like that where you're definitely gonna be unique for sure, and it's gonna be a great game environment.
Yeah, it's 15 points higher than the over.
And hold on. And I got the Wolves winning this one. Let's go, title.
Yeah, here we go.
Title? You mean let's go DC? Come on.
Well, yeah, I'm coming at you though. You're the Bucks guy.
On that note, we're going over the next
title's game. Slide on in, AP. Slide on in. Let's go.
The DMs are open. That is for both of you. That is for sure. But we'll go over to the next game. The Kings and the Suns. Suns are favored by 8, a 224.5 total. AP, I'll go right back to you. Take it away. The stage is yours.
I know we're probably getting shorter on time. I'm gonna make this easy. I'm not playing a single guy in this game. I got them all under projected. So I'm full fade for me. I'm off.
Easy enough. The only guy that I'm gonna mention, you can talk about DC, Davion Mitchell. If you want a little salary, 42 or 4.2K. He's playing about 30 minutes. He's one of the best defenders in the league, but the minutes are there. He's cheap. There's a lot of value on the slate, so don't think he's going to be too owned. Any interest in him or anybody else in this game?
I had overlooked him. I think I saw you tweet about him, maybe. But yeah.
I might. I mean, he's just a lockdown defender. He's a very
maybe
good
it was someone else, but whatever it was, they were also tweeting about just how good he is on defense. So yeah, I'm not on the Kings. Chris Paul. I mean, you're going to get him super low owned, leads the league in potential assists. He's kind of doing his thing for the Suns. He's interesting. And then kind of in that Rajon Rondo bucket is Elfrid Payton, Cameron Payne, the backup point guard. Yeah, I know. He's 3K minimum, though. He did get 25 minutes last game. Now, yes, a lot of that was garbage time. But, I mean, Chris Paul, he gets hurt.
You're right.
That happens all the time. Blowout, I mean – or just smaller minutes, shorter minutes. Like they're paths
Reeves versus Elfrid Payton, a min price bet for us.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'll take Elfrid Payton. Yeah, there we go.
All right.
I gotta take Payton too.
Okay.
Reeves just stands there.
Yeah,
he's gonna play more minutes. But all right, keep going,
man.
DC.
I'll take Reeves with anybody projected to be out there for 15 plus minutes. So I mean, I'll take the other guy. Yeah, against Reeves.
All right.
I don't have anything more in that game.
We'll get into the next game. The biggest over under on the slate, the Grizzlies and Trailblazers. Trailblazers are favored by 2.5. Go right back to you, DC. Any interest in this game? Are you going to chase Damian Lillard's been awful? You're going to tonight the night he jumps on. FanDuel price is really good, but talk about him.
I don't mind with FanDuel. I mean, I was saying before the season in Discord, like I was reminding people before CJ McCollum got hurt last year, he was regularly outscoring Damian Lillard. We've seen it again so far to start the season. I'm not saying for sure that that's going to be something that continues, but he's been the better fantasy producer so far. And I think he might have been straight up beating Dame before he got hurt last year. So CJ McCollum, I'll take what is it on DraftKings, a $1,600 discount with CJ McCollum if I'm going to either of those Portland guards. Probably not, frankly. The guy that I'm going to play here too, though, another, I think, very low-owned guy is Ja Morant, who I think has taken a massive, massive step forward this season. Again, going back to some of those tracking stats, Ja Morant second in the league in drives per game, 25 drives per game to the hole. I believe he is potential assists. He's 7th in the entire league. These were some of the stats that led me to being all in on DeJounte Murray last night, right? Kind of the same thing with him, a young player making a big step. And then the usage is up for Ja Morant too. The minutes are up. That's been a concern for him in the past. He's very, very expensive, $9,600. You're not going to see many people get to him with the likes of Russell Westbrook and guys up there. But I think Ja Morant's got a good chance to be the highest scorer on this slate. And you'll probably get him below 5%. So I'm going to have a lot of Ja Morant in my lineups.
Yeah, you'll probably get him at 2%, I imagine. I like that call.
Sign me up.
Go for it. Sign me up.
Sign me up for that.
Sign me up. Yeah. Highest over under on the slate. It's going to be pretty low owned. I think CJ's price is good on DK. I prefer him to Dame over there, whereas I prefer Dame to McCollum on FanDuel since he has an 8.2K on FanDuel. Very mispriced, I think. But I mean, it's not mispriced for what he's done to start the year. But I like the buy low opportunity on FanDuel. Two guys I'll mention. I have interest on DraftKings: Desmond Bane and DeAnthony Melton. 5K, 4.8K. They're a big part of this Memphis team, so I think they're fine if you want some value. AP, Desmond Bane, DeAnthony Melton, McCollum, Dame, Ja. Anybody in this game you have interest in?
I mean, the Blazers are – I don't know what to think about them right now. Like, they look so bad against the Clippers, defensively, offensively, but then they blew out the Suns. So they've been involved in 2 blowouts where they got blown out, then blew out the Suns, and they lost to the Kings. And then on the flip side, the Grizzlies, like, this team looks motivated. You know, Ja like apologizing to his team already for like missing a shot at the end that would have, they would have been 3-0. I mean, this team is definitely vibing. I don't feel good about the 234 total here. Like, I feel way better about the Bucks total going over. I do agree with what DC said. CJ McCollum, he'd be the guy of interest in. I'm probably off the Blazers though, because in my opinion, I want Anthony Edwards in that range. So he's 7-7, CJM is 7-8, but I would not blame anyone for going with CJ McCollum. I do think he's a good play. And then Ja Morant's just, 9.6. That's a tough price to play. He's going to be like 1% owned, but you need a really good game script here for him to work. I do think, as you mentioned, the plays here, and I'm not going to go overboard on them. I might end up in line with the field or slightly under, but that's Desmond Bane and DeAnthony Melton. Their prices have come up. They're great for the script here, game script. I don't think they're overpriced or anything, but they do have some bust potential, especially with this Grizzly rotation. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm telling you, we'll see some funky stuff happen. And they got Zaire Williams, Kyle Anderson, who's a starter. If Kyle Anderson comes off the bench and it hits his 3 straight threes, it's gonna Desmond Bane, one of these guys is gonna go off. We also haven't seen Jaren Jackson have a big game yet. If he has a big game, it's gonna be we're gonna see Anthony Melton, Desmond Bane kind of come under. So I'm being cautious with this game, kind of sum it up. But I do have interest in bits and pieces.
Yep, I definitely agree. Some people are asking about Steven Adams. He's 5.3K. I don't mind it. I think it's fine. I like some others upside more at the center position. Especially like if AD's out, you'll get the Howard and DeAndre Jordan. I like Cat spend up. There's just some other options I'm going to go to, but if you're in the mid tier at center, I think 5.3K is okay for Steven Adams. Getting into the last game, but first, looking at the likes, you guys absolutely smashed it. 650 watching, 343 likes. Way to get it done. We do appreciate it. Again, RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off your first month. You get all the content over here, every single sport, one price. So RPS Heater 25, 25% off. Last game of the night, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Clippers. Clippers are favored by 8, a 219 over under. I don't have too much in this game personally. A Reggie Jackson at 6.3K is fine. His usage is definitely up. With no Kawhi for the year, he's definitely taken over the ball handling role. Him and Paul George. Paul George is all the way up at 10-3 though. I don't see myself getting there in this game. I think there's some blowout risk. Luke Kennard had a good game last game. 4K is fine. Nicholas Batum, if you want to go there at 3.6K, I think is okay on DraftKings. So not a game I'll go overboard on. Maybe a piece or two from the Clippers. DC, anyone from the Clippers for you?
Not a lot here for me. Marcus Morris is out for the Clippers, so that does open up. Like he was playing some at the 5, right? So that does open up the 5 minutes for two pretty cheap guys. Zubac is 4,800, and then I think we're gonna have to see Hartenstein in there. He's played 16 and 17 minutes, 21.25 fantasy points in those two games. He's 3,300, so he's another guy that opens up some salary. I think you could potentially, if you're hoping for Anthony Davis is sitting to play either DeAndre Jordan or Howard, if Davis ends up playing, one pivot you could make is to Hartenstein, who I do expect to be on the court for a significant amount of time. But no, I don't have much exposure to this game.
AP, anything in this game?
This Cavs team is they're not bad defensively. Like Colin Sexton, he's looked good. They're really tall, with Laurie, Evan Mobley, who's a nice, like this dude can switch. Like he could switch onto a smaller guard. That's what you want to see if you're an NBA guy. And then Jared Allen too. He's another guy that's mobile in there. So they got so much size. That's gonna. I think it was K. Falik was saying, Zubac, and they're going to need big minutes from him. They're going to have him or Hartenstein on the court at all times. For me, I'm off a lot of the pieces here, but I do have some interest in Zubac and Hartenstein. He's just 3.3K. If he gets me 20, he could make some of these stud builds I'm looking at work.
Definitely like it. We got through them 10 games. We went very in depth with it. But now it is time for the plays of the day. You guys absolutely smashed it. 352 likes. We appreciate it. Good mojo rolling into the night. DC, I'll throw it over to you first. Mom's Basement play of the day. Who do you got for us?
I'll give it 2. I gave 2 away yesterday. They both worked out. I'll go back to 2. I think both guys might be sub 5% owned. First one, Anthony Edwards. I love how this matchup sets up for him. I think he's in store for a breakout sophomore campaign. I think that 7,700 price tag seems like a lot to some people. I think we'll see that rise. I think he's going to be an 8 to 9K player for most of this year. So he's 1. And, you guys saying this guy's going to be 1% owned, I got to go to him. My guy, Ja Morant, I think another guy that's going to have a huge season. The price point is not appealing, but you put up 65 fantasy points. It doesn't matter if you're 9,600 or 8,500, right? You're going to need him on your lineup. So I think Ja Morant gets there today against Portland. 2 very low-owned guys. You play those 2 guys together, you can play absolute chalk with them because you're going to be unique anyway.
Little 2-for-1 special. I definitely like it. I'll go over myself for the SO play of the day. I'm going to go with Chris Middleton. He's 7,800. There's no Drew Holiday. Last game without Drew. He played 32 minutes. He had a 34% usage rate, 27, 7, and 5 number. I think people are going to go Giannis, if anybody in this game, maybe Grayson and Bobby. I think Middleton's the forgotten one, and his usage so far, 34, 31, 33, and 26 in the first 4 games. No Brook, no Drew. I think he's a very strong play at the high 7K range with a lot of upside. So fits in the same game as the Anthony Edwards in the game we like as well. So Chris Middleton, the SO play of the day. AP, it sounds like we have a little name change for yours. instead of the hair gel, the gentleman's play of the day. That's what Captain calls your drink that you always post on Twitter. Always looking tasty, a little rye, a little whiskey, a little lemon. The gentleman's play of the day. Who do you got for us?
I mean, you guys stole the two, Anthony Edwards and then Middleton, two of the guys that I had on my list. Obviously, you can't go like Westbrook or Monk or Giannis. I'm going to go. I think this guy might get steamed up a little bit. He played 42 minutes. He played almost 43 minutes against the Bulls the other day. They don't trust Goran Dragic at all. He's just been a complete bum out there. They need Fred VanVleet. He had an insane 17 assists, and he didn't shoot the ball a bunch. He's going to get way more opportunities in this matchup. Fred VanVleet, 7.8K. I think he gets us 50-plus DK points today.
I absolutely love the call. And AP, I doubt you saw it, but after this, right after the show is ending, you got to go over to YouTube. Check out the graphics Simon made for you. Those pants were absolutely awesome. Simon, great job on the graphic for AP. But that'll do it for us. Great Wednesday 10-game slate. We went a little longer than usual, but we went in depth on every single game, every play. Big prize pools. You guys absolutely crushed it for the likes. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off your monthly subscription. But that'll do it for us. Till next time, DC, AP, myself, Titletown. Good luck, everybody.